Welcome to Mr. Chalk's Revision Tips. In this video, we will look at gas exchange in insects. So, one of the key things to think about is the fact that gas exchange systems in insects are very different to how they are in humans. So, there are some key things that make them especially different, primarily the fact that they don't have lungs. So gases enter insects via long tubes called spiracles, right? So these have small holes in the surface of the insect's thorax in which air enters and leaves. The tiny holes also have hairs and other different adaptations that stop them from getting clogged up with things like dust. The tiny hairs surrounding the spiracles also help trap humid air, reducing the concentration of water vapour, which helps reduce water loss from the insect. So if we're looking at what does the air enter through, right, like we just said, it's the spiracles. If we're looking at explaining the adaptations of the spiracles to prevent them from becoming blocked, key things that we need to think about are the fact that they're lined with fine hairs or bristles that filters the air as it enters. If we're looking to explain the adaptations which prevent excess water loss, key things are that there's valves and there are tiny hairs surrounding the spiracles which trap that moist air near the surface of it, so therefore reducing water loss. So there are some other key parts of the gas exchange system. Right, the next one that we want to look at are the tracheal tubes. So insects have impermeable, that means gases can't get through it, exoskeleton, or the exoskeleton is the outside of the insect, and internal exchange system in order to prevent water loss. So this is an adaptation to their terrestrial, so land, lifestyle. Insects are found in some of the driest places in the world. So because the exoskeleton is impermeable to respiratory gases, these gases must move into and out of the insect through tracheal tubes. So these trachea are highly branched, helping to increase the surface area. So that you want a very large surface area to volume ratio, as that will help increase gas exchange. So if we're looking at how the tracheal tubes are adapted to increase surface area, like we just said, they are highly branched. Next part that we want to look at are the tracheolaes. So the tracheal tubes end in tiny fluid-lined tubes called tracheolaes. Respiratory gases can dissolve into this fluid and easily diffuse into the surrounding tissues because the tracheolaes have such thin walls. So the fluid lining the tracheolaes normally fills the ends of these small tubes. So during muscular contraction, when more oxygen is being used and carbon dioxide is being produced, both those gases are drawn into and out of this fluid. Right? So this further increases the surface available for gas exchange to happen. In some insects, flight is often an essential mechanism to help them escape predators, and it demands a lot of energy. So therefore, this increase of surface area at the end of it helps a lot more oxygen diffuse into the muscle cells of the insect, and the carbon dioxide that's produced by respiration to diffuse back out. So if we're looking at describing the function of the tracheolaes within the gas exchange of insects, key things to think about are that respiratory gases can dissolve into the tissue fluid, it can easily diffuse into the surrounding tissues, and because the tracheolaes have such thin walls, that reduces that diffusion distance. And as is important with all questions about gas exchange, why is gas exchange important for insects? Like we said, a lot of them do fly, and flight requires a lot of energy. You've got rings of chitin, So the surface of the tracheal tubes is lined with a spiral fold of chitin. Right? So chitin is strong but a quite light material. So this acts like a reinforcing wall that keeps the airways open during body movement, while also allowing some sort of flexibility. So this ensures that the gas exchange is ventilated, that the concentration gradient is maintained. So because of the short distance between the insect's exterior surface and internal tissues, ventilation can often occur by passive diffusion of air into and out of these tracheal tubes. So without these rings of chitin, the external forces, so due to gravity and body movements of the insect, would compress the tracheal tubes and prevent any gas exchange from taking place. So if we're looking at what the key function of these chitin rings are, it's to keep the airways open. The air sacs in insects, so in some insects, air sacs help ventilation, so to push air in and out of the tracheal tubes when the insect is moving. The muscular contraction associated with body movement, especially while flying, also rhythmically compresses the tracheal tubes, which also helps facilitate ventilation. Ventilation ensures that fresh air that is oxygen rich is taken in and carbon dioxide rich air is forced out. And this all helps to maintain that concentration gradient. So if we just finally look at summarising some of those key facts. So air enters the respiratory system of insects through a series of external openings called spiracles. These external openings, which act as muscular valves in some insects, lead to the internal respiratory system, which is a densely networked array of tubes called trachea. So this network of transverse and longitudinal tracheal equalizes pressure throughout the system. So oxygen molecules first enter the insect via the spiracle, then proceed down the branching trachea, then to the tracheoles. At the terminal tips of these tracheoles, there's sometimes fluid-filled areas in which allows the oxygen to diffuse into and then the carbon dioxide to diffuse out of. So oxygen must move across the tracheal walls through the hemolymph, across the plasma membranes of the cells, and finally through the cytoplasm to the mitochondria inside those cells in order for respiration to take place. And carbon dioxide generally flows in the reverse path.
Thanks for watching.